I was reading a history book the other day and I saw a stat that 9 out of 10 Spartans hated bad debt. And then I also found another stat that said 8 out of 10 Spartans loved to leverage good debt to their advantage. We're taking out the whiteboard today so we can go over this with you. In this video, we'll uncover why it sometimes does and doesn't make sense to take on debt to increase your wealth. To do that, I'll go through the different types of bad debt along with good debt and give you examples of each one. And by the end of it, you're going to know how to leverage good and bad debt to your advantage. Now, I don't want you getting burned, so I'm going to show you how to reduce your risk of losing it all when it comes to leveraging that good debt. We need to begin with this one thing, that you should want to get out of debt. But there's also times that it makes sense to take on debt in your life. What? Holy smokes, this dude is knuckin' futz. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit nuts. Now you may think that this sounds strange coming from someone who bases the majority of his content and teachings around the importance of getting out of debt. If you're one of those headline readers, then yes, you would be correct. But there's always more to the story, and that's why you cannot be a headline reader. One time, someone told me that she saw on the news that fish oil is bad for you. Now, I had been taking fish oil for years when I heard this, so I got a little concerned. Even though I did a whole lot of research when I first started taking it and didn't find any negative information about this, I still questioned what I was doing at the time. I eventually found that video and the article that she was talking about, and it was complete BS. Well, unless all you did was read the headline, which is exactly what she did. So to ensure that you're not a headline reader, you have to watch this whole video so that you understand. Don't be that guy and don't be that gal. The beautiful thing about today's day and age is that we're fortunate enough to have access to choices. Many choices. Choices are extremely important because you and I are completely different, and you might not care about the things that I care about and vice versa. Some people will tell you to never go into debt for anything, but that's just not true in many cases. To truly understand the difference between good debt and bad debt, we need to look at both of them separately. It's so easy to go down so many different rabbit holes with both of these because sometimes, depending on your particular situation, a good debt could easily be turned into a bad debt very quickly. I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no. The lottery is not good or bad debt. That would be categorized as stupid. So don't be stupid and ever play the lottery. It's basically a tax on the poor, and you're on the path of not being poor. So don't do it. Before we get too far into this, debt is debt, and it comes with risk attached to it no matter how good or bad you think it is. Now that's my PSA for this video. So what is bad debt? To easily understand what bad debt is, think about things that you borrow money for that will not give you some sort of a return while carrying that debt. You could also think of it as things that will basically depreciate or are a sunk cost. Depreciation stinks when you're not getting a return on that item. Now let's go through a couple of examples of bad debt. And excuse my handwriting, I write like a 5-year-old, so I apologize, I'll try to make it legible. Car loans, by far one of the worst types of debt out there. It's an item that not only costs you money to maintain, but it greatly decreases in value at a faster rate than bread gets moldy, and that is serious business, especially if you buy new. And just so you know, it's financially stupid to buy a brand new car, so please don't be stupid. I know you're smart, so you probably haven't done this yet, and if you have, fix the problem. Next, we've got credit cards as bad debt. This one actually makes an appearance on both the good and bad debt list, and I'll explain the good side in a minute. A credit card would be considered bad debt for anything that you put on your credit card and are charged interest, where those items aren't generating you a higher return than that actual interest rate. Now, this can be anything that you put on your credit card, from that laptop to clothes to even that gym equipment that I have in my garage if I would have charged it onto my credit card. Next, we've got student loans as bad debt. Now, this might get me in a little bit of trouble by some people because you might disagree, but while you're borrowing student loans, they could be considered good debt because the return on that investment is coming in the form of knowledge. Anything that you borrow above and beyond that amount, like my dumbass did, is bad debt. Once you are done with school and have a job, student loans instantly turn into bad debt, in my opinion. Very bad debt. Especially because the only way to get rid of those things is by dying or paying them off. take your pick. Yes, they're loans that you took out to get a college education to hopefully make more money. But once you are done with that education and you have a job, it's not generating you a recurring revenue. Your current job and experience are. There's also no guarantee that you'll even get a specific return on your student loan debt. That's where things get a little bit weird and why I question some of the things going on in our current education system, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Lastly, we've got mortgage as bad debt. The mortgage on your primary residency for most people is bad debt. You might be saying, well, why? Well, that's because most people own a home for the sole purpose of needing a place to live. We tell ourselves the story that, oh, my home is going to generate me so much money when I sell it. Okay, cool. When are you going to sell it? I don't know. Look, I understand that most buy a home in hopes that the value of that home will appreciate, and that could definitely be the case. But while it's not generating you any money and you don't have a plan to sell it when it hits a specific value, then it's bad debt. You're only hoping that it'll give you a return on your investment when you sell it. Now, there's a lot of debate out there whether a home is a good investment or not, but that's outside of the scope of this conversation right now. Here's a real life example with me. I currently own a home with a very modest mortgage payment. I'm not receiving any money from it because I don't have any roommates at the time, so my mortgage is bad debt. But my plan in the future is to rent this property out. At that point, it will be giving me a recurring stream of revenue, as long as someone is living here. At that point, it will hopefully be good debt. Okay, so that's the list of bad debts. If you have any complaints that you want to file with me, leave a comment down below and let me know why you do or don't agree with that. Now let's talk about good debt. Good debt is used for one thing: to generate more money. Even though good debt can be considered good, there's always cases where this can turn into really bad debt that could ruin your finances. Later on in this video, we'll go over how to increase your likelihood that your good debt starts out and stays good. So for good debt, think about those things that will give you a return and appreciate. I told you you'd make another appearance. Credit cards is good debt. So credit card debt that can be paid off every month with the sole purpose of the reward benefits is always good debt. It could also be considered good debt if your return on the money borrowed is at a higher rate than how much you were paying in interest. Now, this is usually a very unlikely case because interest rates on credit cards are absolutely insane. But by the way, if you want to borrow money from me at a 22% interest rate, you know what, actually 20% interest rate, then please, please, please contact me because I would love to help me. I would love to help you. I'm very transparent about the fact that I really like leveraging credit card debt to increase my yearly income through those rewards that I get from using it. There's even websites out there that are dedicated to credit card hacking to maximize rewards. It's called, what is it called? I think it's credit card churning, and there's quite a few people out there that do it. I don't personally do this sort of thing at this time, but it's actually pretty interesting. Next, we've got a mortgage for some sort of rental property as good debt. If someone wants to start investing in real estate, then debt will most likely need to be taken on some sort of debt. Who in the world has hundreds of thousands of dollars just to dump into a couple of rental properties to start making money off of them? Not many. So whether you're flipping houses or purchasing properties for the sole purpose of renting them out, this can turn out to be a very, very lucrative way to leverage debt in your favor. Business investment as good debt. Sorry, I couldn't fit it on there. I hope you forgive me. Now, I don't fully agree with this one, but I'm not here to hide information from you because I don't completely agree with this thought process. Depending on the type of business, there does come a time where debt may need to be taken on to grow the business. This isn't always the case, but this is usually the case when it comes to a business that sells, think of a physical product. Now, I'm of the opinion that you shouldn't take on debt to start a brand new business, period. I have a very hard time believing someone who says that you have to take on debt to start a business. You 100% do not. I actually think that it's a very stupid move to borrow money to start a business when you don't even have a proof of concept. If you can't afford to start it up by funding it yourself or finding investors, then you should try something else and come back to this idea when you have more money. Now we're going to go into how to reduce the risk of good debt. If you decide that you want to start working with good debt to try to increase your wealth. The first one we're going to talk about is, of course, the mortgage or rental properties as good debt. Now, I'm of the opinion that if you want to start investing in rental properties, then you need to do one of two things, or both actually. You need to start small. So buy a property that you know has a high likelihood of making money, but the returns may be smaller than you'd actually like. This first property can be a way for you to test out the waters, just to make sure that this is something that you want to get into. It'll also be a way for you to focus on the whole learning aspect of what goes into property investing, especially if you haven't done it before. The next thing I would say to do is educate yourself. And I would even say find a mentor who has done this sort of thing before. There's all kinds of great resources out there to help you start learning about this area of investment. The one that comes into that pops into my mind that I know has a great reputation is biggerpockets.com. I'll throw a link down in the description for you if you want to check them out. And the next one is the business investment as good debt. Now, I would recommend that you start small. That's my main recommendation for you. First, you want to prove the business model and prove that you are selling something that people actually want while you're cash flowing the whole thing out of your pocket. Cash flow that business until you're to the point where you cannot grow without any sort of outside investment or an influx of cash through some sort of debt. Then before you accept any kind of money, you have to stop and ask yourself, okay, am I content with the current revenue that I'm making, or am I okay with selling off some of the company or borrowing to speed up the process? That's going to be a very important question for yourself that's going to be specific to you, depending on your situation and what you really want. Because if you're happy with the current state of your business and you're willing to grow slowly, then don't borrow money or don't take outside investors. I've cash flowed all of my businesses in the past, and I'm actually glad that I did because some of them didn't end up working out. So how bad would that have sucked if I had taken out a bunch of debt and then failed? Let me answer that for you. It would have sucked really, really bad. On the other hand, I do have some friends who are running a company that sell a physical product, and they're growing at a stupid rapid pace, and they're getting close to the point where they have to decide whether it makes sense to borrow money or to bring on investors to help grow the business to that next level. Listen, what it comes down to is the fact that taking on debt isn't the actual problem. The biggest issue that most have is getting their debts under control and learning how to properly manage money. And there's no shame in admitting that you're not good with money or that you haven't been good with money in the past. I'm the poster child of bad debt decisions, okay? I racked up $82,000 in debt, but I paid it all off in 4 years. Why in the world would you borrow more when you haven't proven to yourself that you can properly manage debt? This all needs done in stages. Leveraging debt is a part of the wealth building stage of your debt-free blueprint approach that I teach. Getting your bad debts paid off and learning how to properly manage your money is the foundation of this whole thing. So if you don't focus on that first, then you're just building a house of cards that will be more likely to fall down. So do you want to build your life on solid ground or a pile of sand? Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and let me know in the comments the type of story that you've been telling yourself that's been keeping you in debt. And then also make sure to pick up your free copy of the Debt Free Prep Workbook while it's still available. Click around my head, or get the link down in the description. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you found some value in it. I'll talk to you later, folks. Adios.